What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Fast. Today, let's get started with Manel Kape fires warning at Brandon Moreno following UFC Edmonton. Manel Kape has some words for Brandon Moreno following UFC Edmonton. Moreno scored a unanimous decision win over Amir Albazi inside Rogers Place this past Saturday night. It was a dominant performance from Moreno. Brandon succeeded in rebounding from a split decision loss to Brandon Royval earlier this year. While Kape has given Moreno his due, he feels he can buckle the legs of the former two-time UFC flyweight champion. I would like to see Moreno stand like that in front of me. I would make him dance the chicken dance. But we have to give the credits, good performance. Moreno is willing to face another contender before fighting for UFC gold again. I don't know, man. Hopefully I get the title shot. I have to be honest with myself. Maybe I have to fight one more time before the title, but I don't know what the UFC is thinking right now. Maybe they get so impressed with the performance tonight that they say, maybe he can get the title next. I know Royval is there. I know Kai Kara France is there, trying to get their opportunity for the title next. I don't know. I'll be ready for whatever. Belal Muhammad sounds off on Shavkat Rakhmonov, suggesting interim title fight after UFC 309 fallout. Belal Muhammad isn't holding back when it comes to the latest buzz surrounding the welterweight title scene. Originally set to face Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 310, Muhammad recently announced he's stepping back due to a bone infection, much to the disappointment of fans and fellow fighters alike. But that didn't stop Shavkat from suggesting an interim title fight in his absence, a move that left Belal scratching his head. Speaking with Jason Anik, Muhammad shared his thoughts on the idea, admitting it doesn't make sense, but clearly wanting to set the record straight on his plans as champion. The newly crowned champion dived deeper into his thoughts on the same saying. I can see them trying to do something with Shavkat, but he is calling for an interim title fight, and it's like, interim title fight? Bro, it's 6 weeks, not 6 months that I am off. If they want to do that just to make a main event, I don't really care about it. I know who my next opponent is going to be. Muhammad went on to add that as things stand right now in the welterweight division, Shavkat versus Kamaru is the only fight that makes sense. However, even that comes with its own set of complications as the two men are training partners. Belal added that he is interested to see how White and Campbell figure out the situation and who they turn to save the card at UFC 310. Jon Jones's retirement decision should ultimately be his choice, says his longtime coach. Brandon Gibson has been by Jones's side for years. He thinks whether or not the future Hall of Famer retires after UFC 309 should be on Jones to decide. During an interview, Brandon Gibson discussed Jon Jones potentially retiring this month. Whenever Jon's ready to retire, I'm right there with him. I'm approaching this one like it's our last go. I think physically, mentally, he could go in there and have 5 or 6 more great performances. There's nothing left for Jon to prove. I think he really wants this fight with Stipe. I think this fight will help solidify Jon's status as that great heavyweight champion, but it's not something we talk about every night at the gym. We're definitely all eyes on November 16th, but each time I go to a practice, I'm approaching it as this is my last camp. I'm giving it my all. If we get one more after this, if we get 2 more, that would be a great blessing. I'm also ready to see Jon hang it up, put the belt up. I'd prefer them to walk away obviously earlier than later. Out of all the fighters, Jon deserves to walk away anytime he wants. I'm always going to support those guys. Arnold Allen targets big names such as Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega in 2025. Arnold Allen is expecting to face big names in 2025. Allen had the biggest test of his pro MMA career when he took on Max Holloway. The Almighty dropped a unanimous decision to Blessed. Allen suffered another decision loss to Movsar Evloev. He was able to avoid a 3-fight winning streak with a victory over Giga Chikadze. Now that he's back on track, Allen is hoping for some big fights next year. Arnold Allen spoke to reporters backstage at UFC Edmonton. Arnold discussed potential names for his next fight. Anyone above me is who I want to fight. It's been talked about a lot. Ortega is a guy that's been talked about after Holloway. I asked for Brian or Yair. There was never any sort of sniff of anything, but I mentioned it, so I'm sure that they're more realistic now. I want to fight the best guys in the world, and I feel like I match up pretty good with him. Back to back, he beat Volkanovski and Holloway with knockouts. Those guys are around the top for forever, and no one could beat those guys. So he definitely can be champion for a long time, but I think there's always new people coming. Allen currently holds the number 7 spot on the official UFC featherweight rankings. Ortega is just ahead of him at the number 6 spot. Rodriguez is in the number 4 position. The UFC shouldn't find much difficulty in booking Allen's next bout. The 23-fight veteran is trying to climb his way up to the top 5. That would put him closer than he's even been to a UFC featherweight championship fight. Islam Makhachev's coach fires back at Ilia Topuria's bold submission claim. Ilia Topuria is quickly becoming one of MMA's biggest stars, alongside the likes of Makhachev, Jon Jones, and Alex Pereira. The Spaniard struts with a confidence that has been likened to Conor McGregor and has performances to back up his fighting words. El Matador recently faced Max Holloway at UFC 308, where he promised to be the first man to defeat the Hawaiian via knockout. Prior to UFC 308, the featherweight champion also stated that should he fight Makhachev, he would be the first man to submit the lightweight king. Makhachev's longtime coach Javier Mendez has now shared his thoughts on the 145-pound king's statement. To be the first one to submit Islam is a big thing to throw out there. Let's see if the fight happens first. His coach said that he submits everybody and beats everybody at everything. Maybe Topuria is that confident because of what he does over there. But what's the quality of opponents he's doing it to? I don't know that. You come to Dagestan, and if you're submitting everybody there, then we can talk. But if you're doing it at home, you're not doing it with the beasts that are in Abdul Manap's gym. The only person I've seen do anything to Islam is Khabib. Alex Pereira recalls fearing serious injury while fighting Khalil Rountree at UFC 307. Alex Pereira showcased his composure and delivered a striking masterclass after enduring an explosive start from Khalil Rountree at UFC 307. The Brazilian made the third defense of his light heavyweight title at the Salt Lake City pay-per-view event with a fourth-round TKO win. From the opening bell, Rountree proved he wasn't intimidated by Pereira's striking, seemingly taking an early lead with sharp boxing. However, the champion adapted as the fight progressed, even recovering from a powerful right hand at one point that briefly sent Poatan to the canvas. Speaking about the fight in a recent interview, Pereira claimed that his hands were severely compromised with the damage he inflicted on Rountree. In that fourth round, I was throwing jabs and it was hurting my hand, man. I swear. I was thinking my hand must be broken. It still hurts today. Magomed Ankalaev claims Alex Pereira turned down UFC 310. Pereira's cryptic Instagram post featuring a phone emoji added fuel to the speculation. Eager to seize the opportunity, Ankalaev took to X, affirming his willingness to fight on December 7th and calling out Pereira directly. Ankalaev has made no secret of his intentions, urging UFC matchmaker Mick Maynard to formalize the bout. Focus on MMA. I promise all my friends I'm going to punish this guy. I will knock him out. Tom Aspinall concedes GOAT title to Jon Jones, shares insight on his legacy. Tom Aspinall has made it clear that the fight he wants above all others would be against Jon Jones, widely regarded as the greatest MMA fighter of all time. But the Mancunian recently shared a fascinating admission, stating that he had no desire to try and replace Jones as the sport's GOAT. Aspinall currently holds the UFC interim heavyweight title, and Jones the undisputed heavyweight belt. Jones's pursuit of a legacy fight against Stipe Miocic has left the interim champion to defend his title instead of fighting to unify the two belts. In all honesty, I've not really got any interest in being the best heavyweight ever. That's why when me and Jon Jones talk, he says stuff online like, "My legacy is always going to be better than yours." I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm not bothered about legacy. I just feel like I'm the best heavyweight in the world, and I want people to recognize it. I don't want to be the greatest heavyweight ever or anything like. I'm not bothered.